Okay, now I know we're live. Yay! Okay, so I had to do, I'm just splitting it. I'm going to go back and fix the notes from the first video and just pick up from where we were because I don't want to have to go back and reread because we already got pretty far in what we were reading, anyways. Um, okay, so let me know. Okay, y'all let me know in the comments if it's clear and everything's good this time. I told my daughter not to FaceTime me at noon. She always tries to call me with the grandbaby at noon, and that's what happened. But I just deleted FaceTime from here because I already have all my notifications off. But every time that she calls on FaceTime, it does that. So I just deleted the app from my iPad. Okay, so here we go. I'm picking up from where we left off so that I don't have to redo it because we were already going good, and I'm like, honey, I'm not redoing this again. Um, so we're just gonna go from there. I think I was on verse 45, but I think I put 44 on the video, so we'll just start at 44. I hope that's where I was at. I'm gonna start at 43. They surrounded the Benjamites and chased them and easily trampled them down as far as the front of Gibeah toward the east. And 18,000 men of Benjamin fell. All of these were men of valor. They turned and fled toward the wilderness to the rock of Rimmon, and they cut down 5,000 of them on the highways. They pursued them relentlessly up to Gideon and killed 2,000 of them. So all who fell of Benjamin that day were 25,000 men who drew the sword. All these were men of valor. Okay, so I think I was right there. But 600 men turned and fled toward the wilderness at the rock of Rimmon, and they stayed at the rock of Rimmon for 4 months. And the men of Israel turned back against the children of Benjamin and struck them down with the edge of the sword from every city, men and beasts, all who were found. They also set fire to the cities that they came to. Chapter 21. Now the men of Israel had sworn an oath at Mizpah, saying, none of us shall give his daughter to Benjamin as wife. Then the people came to the house of God and remained there before God until evening. They lifted up their voices and wept bitterly and said, O Lord God of Israel, why has this come to pass in Israel, that today there should be one tribe missing from Israel? So it was on the next morning that the people rose early and built an altar there and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings. The children of Israel said, who is there among all the tribes of Israel who did not come up with the assembly to the Lord? For they had made a great oath concerning anyone who had not come up to the Lord at Mizpah, saying, he shall surely be put to death. And the children of Israel grieved for Benjamin their brother and said, one tribe is cut off from Israel today. So that's where they get the whole, 11 tribes from the 12, because Benjamin was destroyed. And so it just basically got rid of that tribe. Okay. All right, so verse 7. Shall we do for our wives for those who remain, seeing that we have sworn to the Lord that we will not give them our daughters as wives? And they said, What one is there from the tribes of Israel who did not go up to Mizpah before the Lord? And in fact, no one had come up to the camp from Jabesh Gilead to the assembly. For when the people were counted, indeed, none of the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead were there. So the congregation sent out there 12,000 of their most valiant men and commanded them, saying, Go and strike the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead with the edge of the sword, including the women and children. And this is the thing that you shall do. You shall utterly destroy every male and every woman who has known a man intimately. So they found among the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead 400 young virgins who had not known a man intimately, and they brought them to the camp at Shiloh, which is in the land of Canaan. Then the whole congregation sent word to the children of Benjamin who were at the rock of Rimmon, and announced peace to them. So Benjamin came back at that time, and they gave them the women whom they had saved alive from the women of Jabesh Gilead, and yet they had not found enough for them. And the people grieved for Benjamin because the Lord had made a void in the tribes of Israel. So there were still some left, but they're saying there wasn't enough women for them to continue to procreate. Then the elders of the congregation said, "What shall we do for our wives and for those who remain, since the women of Benjamin have been destroyed?" And they said, "There must be an inheritance for the survivors of Benjamin, that a tribe may not be destroyed from Israel. However, we cannot give them wives from our daughters, for the children of Israel have sworn an oath, saying, 'Cursed be the one who gives a wife to Benjamin.'" Then they said, "In fact, there is a yearly feast for the Lord in Shiloh, which is north of Bethel, on the east side of the highway that goes up to Bethel in Shechem, and south of Lebonah." Therefore they instructed the children of Benjamin, saying, "Go lie in wait in the vineyards and watch. And just when the daughters of Shiloh came out to perform their dances, then come from the vineyards, and every man catch a wife for himself from the daughters of Shiloh, then go to the land of Benjamin. Then it shall be, when their fathers or their brothers come up to us to complain, that we will say to them, 'Be kind to them for our sakes, because we did not take wife for any of them in the war. For it is not as though you have given the women to them at this time, making yourselves guilty of your oath.' And the children of Benjamin did so, and they took enough wives for their number from those who danced, whom they caught. Then they went and returned to their inheritance, and they rebuilt cities and dwelt in them. So the children of Israel departed from there at that time, every man to his tribe and family. They went out from there, every man to his inheritance. In those days there was no king in Israel, and everyone did what was right in their own eyes. So still, everybody's doing what they think is right. The Lord isn't speaking. There's no king, Well, the Lord did speak a little bit because he helped them win against the Benjamites, but still, there's no king. All right, so now we're moving on into the book of Ruth. Yay. We'll read almost all of Ruth. We'll leave one chapter. All right, so chapter 1. Now it came to pass in the days when the judges ruled that there was a famine in the land, and a certain man of Bethlehem, Judah, went to dwell in the country of Moab, he and his wife and his 2 sons. The name of that man was Elimelech. The name of the wife was Naomi, and the names of his 2 sons were Mahlon and Chilion. Ephrathites of Bethlehem, Judah, and they went to the country of Moab and remained there. Then Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left, her and her 2 sons. Now they took wives of the women of Moab. The name of the one was Orpah, and the name of the other was Ruth. And they dwelt there about 10 years, which is a decade. Then both Mahlon and Chilion also died, so the women survived her 2 sons and her husband. Then she arose with her daughter-in-law that she might return to the country of Moab, for she had heard in the country of Moab that the Lord had visited his people by giving them bread. Therefore she went out from the place where she was, her and her 2 daughters-in-law and her, and they went on the way to return to the land of Judah. And Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law, "Go now, turn each one to your mother's house, and the Lord deal kindly with you as he has dealt with the dead and with me. The Lord grant that you may find rest, each in their house of their husband." So she kissed them, and they lifted their voices and wept. And she said to her, "Surely we will return with you and your people." And they said to her, But Naomi said, "Turn back, my daughters. Why will you go with me? Are there still sons in my womb, that they may be your husbands? Turn back, daughters, go, for I am too old to have a husband. If I shall say that I have hope, if I shall have a husband tonight and should also bear sons, would you wait for them until they're grown? Would you restrain yourselves from having husbands? No, my daughters, for it grieves me very much for your sakes that the hand of the Lord has gone out against me." Then they lifted their voices and wept again, and Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clung to her. And she said, "Look, your sister-in-law has gone back to her people and her gods. Return after your sister-in-law." But Ruth said, "Entreat me not to leave you or to turn back from following after you. For wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. The Lord do so to me and more also, if anything but death parts you and me." When she saw this, she was determined to go with her. She stopped speaking to her. Now the two of them went up until they came to Bethlehem. And it happened that they had come to Bethlehem, that all the city was excited because of them. And the women said, "Is this Naomi?" But she said to them, "Do not call me Naomi, call me Mara, for the Almighty has dealt very bitterly with me. I went out full, and the Lord has brought me home again empty. Why do you call me Naomi, since the Lord has testified against me, and the Almighty has afflicted me?" So Naomi returned, and Ruth the Moabitess, her daughter-in-law, with her, who returned from the country of Moab. Now they came to Bethlehem at the beginning of the barley harvest. Chapter 2. There was a relative of Naomi's husband, a man of great wealth, of the family of Elimelech. His name was Boaz. So Ruth the Moabitess said to Naomi, "Please let me go to the field and glean heads of grain after him, in whom sight I may find favor." And she said to her, "Go, my daughter." Then she left and went and gleaned in the field after the reapers. And she happened to come to the part of the field belonging to Boaz, who was of the family of Elimelech. Now behold, Boaz came to Bethlehem and said to the reapers, "The Lord be with you." And they answered and said, "The Lord bless you." Then Boaz said to his servant who was in charge of the reapers, "Whose young woman is this?" So the servant who was in charge of the reapers answered and said, "It is the young Moabite woman who came back with Naomi from the country of Moab." And she said, "Please let me glean and gather after the reapers among the sheaves." So she came and has continued from morning until now, though she rested a little in the house. Then Boaz said to Ruth, "You will listen, my daughter, will you not? Do not go glean in another field, nor go from here, but stay close to my young women. Let your eyes be on the field which they reap, and go after them. Have I not commanded the young men not to touch you? And when you are thirsty, go to the vessels and drink from what the young men have drawn." So she fell on her face, bowed to the ground, and said to him, "Why have I found favor in your eyes that you should take notice of me, since I am a foreigner?" And Boaz answered and said to her, "It has been fully reported to me all that you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband, and how you have left your father and your mother in the land of your birth, and have come to a people whom you did not know before. The Lord repay your work, and a full reward be given you by the Lord God of Israel, under whose wings you have come for refuge." Isn't that good? Then she said, "Let me find favor in your sight, my Lord, for you have comforted me and have spoken kindly to your maidservant, though I am not like one of your maidservants." Now Boaz said to her at mealtime, "Come here and eat of the bread, and dip your piece of bread in the vinegar." So she sat beside the reapers, and he passed parched grain to her. And she ate and was satisfied, and kept some back. And when she rose up to glean, Boaz commanded his young men, saying, "Let her glean even among the sheaves, and do not reproach her." "Also let grain from the bundles fall purposefully for her. Leave it that she may glean, and do not rebuke her." So she gleaned in the field until evening, and beat out what she had gleaned, and it was about an ephah of barley. Then she took it up and went into the city, and her mother-in-law saw what she had gleaned, so she brought it out and gave it to her, what she had kept back. Sorry, I'm trying to keep my computer from going idle. Then she came back and gave it to her. Where was that at? There it is. Okay. Gave to her what she had kept back after she had been satisfied. And her mother-in-law said to her, "Where have you gleaned today, and where did you work? Blessed be the one who took notice of you." So she told her mother-in-law with whom she had worked, and said, "The man's name with whom I work today is Boaz." Then Naomi said to her daughter-in-law, "Blessed be he of the Lord, who has not forsaken his kindness to the living and the dead." And Naomi said to her, "This man is a relation of ours, one of our close relatives." Ruth the Moabitess said, "He also said to me, 'You shall stay close by my young men until they have finished all of my harvest.'" And Naomi said to Ruth, her daughter-in-law, "It is good, my daughter, that you go out with these young men, and that people do not meet you in any other field." So she stayed close by the young women of Boaz to glean until the end of the barley harvest and the wheat harvest. And she dwelt with her mother-in-law. Chapter 3. Then Naomi, her mother-in-law, said to her, "My daughter, shall I not seek security for you, that it may be well for you? Now Boaz, whose young women you were with, is he not our relative? In fact, he is winnowing barley tonight at the threshing floor. Therefore, wash yourself and anoint yourself." Isn't that interesting? Wash yourself. Wash yourself and anoint yourself. My God. "Put on your best garment and go down to the threshing floor, but do not make yourself known to the man until after he has finished eating and drinking. Then it shall be when he lies down that you shall notice the place where he lies, and you shall go in, uncover his feet, and lie down, and he will tell you what you should do." And she said to her, "All that you say to me, I will do." So she went down to the threshing floor and did all according to her mother-in-law and what she had instructed her. And after, Boaz had eaten and drunk, and his heart was merry, he went to lie down at the end of the heap of grain, and she came softly, uncovered his feet, and lay down. Now it happened at midnight that the man was startled and turned himself, and there was a woman laying at his feet. And he said, "Who are you?" So she answered, "I am Ruth, your maidservant. Take your maidservant under your wing, for you are a close relative." Then he said, "Blessed are you of the Lord, my daughter, for you have shown more kindness at the end than at the beginning, in that you did not go after young men, whether poor or rich. And now, my daughter, do not fear. I will do for you all that you request, for all the people of my town know that you are a virtuous woman. Now, it is true that I am a close relative. However, there is a relative closer than I. Stay this night, and in the morning it shall be that if he will perform the duty of a close relative for you, good, let him do it. But if he does not want to perform the duty for you, then I will perform the duty for you, as the Lord lives. Lie down until morning." So she lay at his feet until morning, and she arose before anyone could recognize another. Then he said, "Do not let it be known that the woman came to the threshing floor." Also he said, "Bring the shawl that is on you and hold it." And when she held it, he measured 6 ephahs of barley and laid it on her. Then she went into the city. When she came to her mother-in-law, she said, "Is it you, my daughter?" Then she told her all that the man had done for her. And she said, "These 6 ephahs of barley he gave me, for he said to me, 'Do not go empty-handed to your mother-in-law.'" Then she said, "Sit still, my daughter, until you know the matter and how it will turn out. For the man will not rest until he has concluded this matter this day." Ah, so good. The man will not rest until he has concluded the matter. Okay, so Judges chapter 20. Confronting evil within the covenant community. Let me fix this because it's all like wonky. I got it on top of books. Okay. Israel gathers as one to address the horrific crime committed in Gibeah, Benjamin. They ask Benjamin to hand over the guilty men, but Benjamin refuses, protecting wickedness out of tribal pride. Civil war ends up erupting. Israel loses the first two battles despite seeking God, and a sign that God is breaking their pride and not endorsing Benjamin's sin. After weeping, fasting, and offering sacrifices, Israel fights again and defeats Benjamin. Only 600 survivors remain. Judgment begins with the household of faith. Temporary loss can be God's way of softening hearts and restoring proper dependence. Leadership truth. Leaders must confront internal corruption with courage, even when the cost is high. Judges 21, mercy, restoration, and the high cost of rash vows. Israel grieves Benjamin's near extinction, but they created a deeper problem. They made a rash vow not to give their daughters to Benjamin. Now they must find a way to restore Benjamin without violating their oath. Through complex decisions, including providing wives from Jabesh Gilead and the daughters of Shiloh, Benjamin is preserved. The book ends with this painful summary. In their days, there was no king in Israel. Everyone did what was right in their own eyes. Rash vows create long-term consequences. Without spiritual leadership, morality becomes subjective. The leadership truth of this chapter is that leaders must use wisdom, not emotion, when making commitments, and must always seek restoration even after judgment. Ruth chapter 1, Naomi's loss and Ruth's loyalty. The scene shifts to a small family in Moab. Famine drives Elimelech, Naomi, and their sons from Bethlehem. Naomi's husband and both sons die, leaving her with two Moabite daughters-in-law, Orpah and Ruth. Naomi returns to Bethlehem bitter and broken, but Ruth clings to her with a vow of love and echoes covenant language. Where you go, I will go. Your God, my God. They arrive at the beginning of the barley harvest, a quiet hint of hope. Ruth is a prophetic picture of a gentle church grafted into Israel. Naomi symbolizes Israel's suffering, and Bethlehem, the house of bread, becomes the birthplace of redemption. When life feels empty, God is already preparing a harvest. The leadership truth is that leaders must see God's redemption even when circumstances scream bitterness. Ruth goes to glean in the fields. Chapter 2, favor in the fields of Boaz. The humble work of the poor. She happens to find herself in the field of Boaz, a wealthy, godly relative of Naomi's family. Boaz notices her humility and protects her from harm, provides food, and blesses her with generous favor. Naomi rejoices. This is the kindness of God, not coincidence. Divine providence guides small steps. Boaz symbolizes Christ, the kinsman redeemer who covers, provides, protects, and blesses the faithful. When you move in obedience, God orders your steps into the fields of favor. The leadership truth of this chapter is that leaders recognize faithfulness and respond with generosity, protection, and blessing. Ruth chapter 3, the threshing floor, redemption in motion. Naomi instructs Ruth in an ancient custom. Number 1, wash. Number 2, anoint. Number 3, put on your best garment. Number 4, go to the threshing floor, which is symbolize prayer, Number 5, wait on Boaz until he lies down. Number 6, uncover his feet and lie there as a request for redemption. This is not seduction. This is a symbolic request for Boaz to take the role as kinsman redeemer, marrying Ruth and restoring Naomi's family legacy. So even though they left during famine when they shouldn't have, they went over there, people died, she comes back, they celebrate that she's back. Somewhere along the way, she's healed from bitterness. And then her legacy, the family legacy, is being restored. That's powerful. Boaz is moved by her integrity. He promises to redeem her, but there is one closer relative that must be consulted first. So he's a man of order. Boaz calls Ruth a virtuous woman. Redemption is now legally in motion. The threshing floor represents separation from the wheat from chaff, destiny from your past. Ruth coming to Boaz prefigures the believer approaching Christ for redemption, covering, and covenant. The devotional truth of this chapter is that God redeems your story when you position yourself in humility, purity, and obedience. The leadership truth of this chapter is that true leaders honor purity, protect integrity, and follow righteousness even when shortcuts are available. The overall summary, that right there will speak. The overall summary of Judges chapter 20 through Ruth 3. This 5-chapter section reveals a dramatic arc. Judges 20, confronting evil with courage. Judges 21, restoring what is broken. Ruth 1, hope rising in hardship. Ruth 2, favor found in faithfulness. Ruth 3, redemption initiated by righteousness. God moves from national chaos to personal redemption. Judges ends in moral collapse. Ruth begins in covenant love. The story shifts from brokenness to blessing, preparing the line that will eventually lead to David and ultimately lead to Christ. The leadership takeaway for all 5 chapters: a godly leader confronts evil, restores what is broken, recognizes God at work in pain, honors faithfulness, and walks in righteousness that opens the doors to redemption. It's a good summary. Restores what is broken, recognizes God at work in pain, honors faithfulness, and walks in righteousness that opens the doors to redemption. That's so powerful. Powerful. Okay, so thank you for hanging in there with me. Since we have 2 videos, what I'll do is break down. I'll probably put part of the summary on the first video and then the rest of the summary on the second. That way I don't have to re-record and do a whole video. So yeah, I love you guys. I pray that you have a good weekend, full of revival, full of love, full of, all the things that your soul desires and your heart desires as well. Amen. God bless you.